Welcome to Pod Nuts Daily for December 10th, 2008, episode number 119. I had a very short day at the shop today because I left in frustration. That's a good thing about having people there besides just yourself. You could leave in frustration and somebody else will be there for you. What it was I don't know if you guys have ever tried taking apart an iBook G4, but oh my gosh, I didn't have the tool. There's a tool that comes with an Apple computer. It's called a splooger, I think is what it's called. And I didn't have the splooger at the shop, so I didn't want to break anything with a screwdriver or bend anything with the metal on the plastic. So I'm going to take the splooger I have at home here and bring it in tomorrow and then try it again. But wow, that is a pain to get that one apart. Oh, I definitely get frustrated. I see you guys in the chat room. I definitely get frustrated. I'm going to have my dad do a separate podcast on all my frustrations because he has to witness them. Anyway, so before I did that, though, I was working on my personal machine, which is a Vista laptop I got a few months ago. It's an Acer laptop, and I bought it at Best Buy for like $450. Great little machine. I use it for work. Now, the way Acer sets up their laptops, their Vista machines out of the box is half of the drive is a data partition, D, and the other half is your C drive. And I can't stand that because I want to decide if I want to make an extra partition. A lot of people, I mean, at least I understand partitions, but most people out there don't understand a data partition. They don't even know what a data partition is. They don't use the data partition. So everything gets defaulted to their C drive. It fills up, and then they're wondering what's going on. Well, Vista's got a great partitioning tool where I just wiped out the D partition because I had nothing in it. And it's in the control panel, administrative tools, computer management, disk manager. You go ahead in there, and then you're able to shrink and resize partitions. You don't need a special partition program like Partition Magic or anything like that. And, as long as the partition is empty or you have the available space, you can extend your partition. So it took like 2 seconds. I went in there, wiped out the D partition, deleted it, and extended the C partition to the whole drive. So now, problem fixed. That was nice. And then I got into the Apple iBook G4. Couldn't open that baby. It was a power jack problem. And I just had to leave early that day. This was after a buildup of several frustrating laptops I've been working on. I remember one caller, though, he was wondering why I get so many laptops and I work on so many laptops. It's kind of the way it works in the shop now is my dad gets a lot of the desktops. He does the desktops and I'll take the laptops. So that's why I'm always talking about laptops is because what I'm doing. And occasionally I'll talk about one of the jobs my dad does. And he's basically the virus removal guy now because we got a good system for doing that, which I've talked about before. You guys know that by now. And so that's why I get a lot of the laptops. Anyway, it was a string of bad laptops, and I took a little break. So I came home early. That's all I got in the shop. So let me play this. This is a good opportunity. I could play this 10-minute email from our friend in San Antonio. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but let's listen to it and see what he's got. He's sounds very intelligent. He's left a couple other good voicemails. One ran a little long, but let's see how this one goes.
Hey, Steve, this is Paul Ayala calling from San Antonio, Texas. It's been a while since I've called, and I'm going to warn you right now, this is going to be a little lengthy of a message, so I don't mind if you have to do a little editing or whatever. And I'm a little behind on your shows. I've been kind of keeping notes on these things I want to comment about. One of your recent shows, I believe it was Barb, that was kind of criticizing you and your use of SpinRite. And while I do agree with a lot of the things she said, and that definitely SpinRite should be one of your very last options, because it does often do more damage to a hard drive. However, most of those programs, she even recommended putting an adapter or connecting it as a slave in another system or using Knoppix. The thing is, all those techniques work fine as long as your issue with the drive is mostly software rather than hardware. For instance, if you have a corrupt NVR, or even if you have bad sectors, which is physical, but that's on the platters itself, even Acronis can pull data off of there, and even just doing a defrag with Windows will often pull data off damaged sectors and mark them as bad so that they don't get used again. So software is fine for that, but however, in your situation, I believe it was physical damage to that hard drive. In that case, it doesn't matter what kind of adapter you put on, or if you slave it, or if you use Knoppix, or no software method, which eventually, if you're using that hardware just to access the drive, you're using software in order to get the data off. If there's physical damage, such as the bearings or the read-write head is misaligned or anything like that, if it physically cannot move the read-write arms through the platters, there's no way it's going to be able to read the data no matter what you do. So I don't think you did any harm running SpinRite in this case. I believe it was already beyond help at that point. And as far as the freezer method as well, that does work on occasion. However, it's mostly myth, and it only buys you minutes, really, just enough time to get some of your critical data off. I wouldn't use that method and then try doing an entire disk image or something. You just don't have that amount of time. And as far as the moisture, that's the condensation, that's easily solved by putting it in a Ziploc bag, airtight, when you put it in the freezer. But again, it rarely works, and more myth than anything else, but I have seen it work before. Also, you've been talking about your flash drives becoming infected, or somehow with these systems, client systems that you're trying to clean. Rather than buying any kind of special flash drives that have a locking mechanism on them or anything like that, it makes it kind of cumbersome for you because you're constantly having to maintain that flash drive. I just mostly stick with the Ultimate Boot CD for Windows. There's a lot of things packed on it. I know you recently just obtained that, but I don't think you've really looked at everything that's on there. For instance, you've talked about partitioning software that comes on a disk you can boot to. There's partitioning software there on the Ultimate Boot CD, as well as utility to fix the master boot record. You also mentioned Magic Jelly Bean, and using that along with the Ultimate Boot CD. But there's two tools actually within the Ultimate Boot CD itself that will retrieve your Windows keys for you. And both, I've never had any problems with either one of them. It always works and gets me the right product keys. Getting by Windows passwords as well. Again, there's two programs on the Ultimate Boot CD that will do that, that will actually reset any user's passwords. But I find it's usually quicker if I only reset the administrator password, if there is one preventing me getting on the system. Then I can log in normally under administrator, and at that point I have the ability to reset any other user's passwords because I'm on with administrator rights. But you can do all that directly from the disk as well. However, I tend to only do it on the administrator because